As an educator over time, you develop tools, you develop techniques and strategies in the classroom, but you also develop kind of a philosophy, kind of something that drives your approach to education. Do you have an educational philosophy?
You know, it is constantly evolving, but I think the main tenet comes from my roots in my history. I am a third-generation teacher. My grandfather, my father, my mom, my grandmother, my aunts, we are teachers in our family, and so we have really always been about students, about young men, young women, and training them and giving them the skills that they need to, whether it be in a vocation or go on in education. And I think that has never left me. I've seen my father, like I said, I've seen my grandfather. They've been great models for that. I've seen my mom work 3 extra years when she could have retired and made more than she, in retirement than she made as a teacher. She continued on because she just really loved it. The reason why this is my dream job is because I love kids and I love to be around students, but I also love to be around staff and I love to be around people. And I want to be, the resource person, the person that can give teachers, help them get the tools that they need to be successful with our main purpose, and that is, like I said, equipping young men and young women with the skills that they're going to need. And those skills aren't just academic skills; those are life skills. Those are physical skills. I mean, things that they need to know on how to take care of themselves. I mean, take care of their bodies, to stay fit. We are in the business of helping them with that. And so, really, my educational philosophy is all about students and all about equipping them and making sure that we help them be successful. But the premise that I would say that I really light on is that, all things are related to what are in the best interest of our students. And what I mean by that is it doesn't mean at the expense of any part of our school community. It's that if I need to get resources to teachers, if I need to give resources to our staff, whatever they're going to need to do our main purpose, because our main purpose is, the reason why we're in schools is to make sure that, like I said, we're equipping these young men and young women. And so I want to make sure that I am a part of that, and I help our folks be able to do our mission there. And so it really is a driving force for me. I think it is my mission in life, so to speak, is helping our young people be able to make it and be really contributing members of society. And so that's really where I am, and I think that's really kind of the driving force and really why I believe this is my dream job and really why I wanted to get back into the school.
Well, how about as a management philosophy? Education, management, there may be there are obviously some differences there, but they all kind of come together at one point. Is there any?
Yeah, I think, and this has evolved over time. I mean, realize that I've been an administrator. Think about this. I've been an administrator for a third of my life. So when you
third of your working life or just your life?
A third of my life, And so when you think about that, I mean, almost the majority of my working life. But when you think about that, you really do develop a kind of a management philosophy, and I think that has evolved over time. And I think early on, I was a much different principal than I will be now. And I think really the idea is, it goes back to, and I don't mean to be flippant with this, but when you provide fish to someone or you teach them to fish, I mean, you want to equip folks to be able to be leaders. And I think for my administrative team, my job is to help them and equip them to be the next leaders. I mean, I'm training the next principals, the next system principals. I'm training in our staff. I'm helping them become the next department chairs and becoming the next leaders. And so, and whatever they want to do, I want to be able to help them with that. So a big piece of what I do is really related to my staff. While I'm all about kids, my main job is really about equipping and helping provide the resources to my staff, because I'm really that's really my focus. I mean, students are our focus in school, and certainly my relationship with students is going to be there. But my main job as a management person or a person managerial style is to make sure I equip my people with the skills that they need and the resources they need to be successful. And so I want to be a facilitator with that, more so than a dictator with here's what you need to do. It's going to be really about a team building, really about making sure that we work together to get the results that we're looking for. Going back just one step to what I was saying about my educational philosophy, what has evolved with that is really mastery learning. I really believe in that. I really believe that if you're going to make, using math as an example, if you're going to take and build on, let's say, algebra skills for geometry or algebra 2 or upper level math classes, you need to make sure that kids are mastering those skills. Having a 70% or a 60% or whatever, they may be passing class, but that's not giving them the skills that they're going to necessarily need to be successful at the next level. And that's how I look at it from a managerial perspective as well. I want to give them the skills that they're going to need, not only for what they're doing now, but for what they want to do. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to look at, what are goals that people want to, have in their lives, and where they want to be next. And not only take care of what they need now to help them be successful, but also provide them and help them with the skills they need for the next level.
Okay. Let me ask you this, is kind of, I think, analogous to the situation. If you were a head coach of a football team, would you let your quarterback call the plays?
I think that, in a vacuum, just without knowing who the...
And it's a big generality.
Well, not knowing who the quarterback is. You look at a Brett Favre.
Yeah.
You look at a Drew Brees. You look at it, even now becoming more of a, Tony Romo. Those are type of folks that have, over time, learned the skills that they needed to do, and now see the field probably far better than a person up in the box does, and a person, on the, maybe even on the sidelines as well. They are seeing that, and that's come from experience. So I'd say that that's kind of an evolving thing. I think that, yes, I would let my quarterback call those, but I think that happens over time. And it's the same in education. You've got a person who's a brand new teacher. You're providing them with the skills, but they're in a much different place. And my expectation for a brand new teacher is much different than I have a veteran of 20 or 30 years. You've got a veteran of 20 or 30 years, I'm going to be learning a lot from them. And I think, are there things that I want everybody to be able to I want us to be constant lifelong learners. That's another piece of my educational philosophy, is we want to all be lifelong learners, and we have to be models of that. And if we're not models of lifelong learning, then our kids aren't going to see that, and they're not going to see the need for that, and we want them to do that. So I want to think that even a 20 or 30-year veteran is open to learning new things, but I want that to be things that we work together and see that. But hey, if they're out there and they see what they're going to need, I'm certainly going to gravitate to that, because I think their experience is something that I want to rely on. And I think your analogy is a good one. You got a 10 or 15-year quarterback, completely different than a brand new
than a rookie. Well, I think it kind of fits. You talked earlier about the impact that Rob and Mike had mentoring you,
right.
And I seem to see this as a kind of a theme coming through, that you want to mentor other administrators and teachers, and it becomes part of a process, almost like teaching. At the beginning of the year, you want to teach students skills. By the end of the year, you expect them to independently display those skills.
Absolutely, and that just evolves. You want to constantly see. And I think that I will not be successful if my staff is not successful. If they're not growing, then I don't think that I must not be doing my job. That is my job, is to help them be able to grow. And like I said, I defer to, when you're at a high school, a little different than middle school and certainly different than elementary. You're now in a very subject-specific world. Now, certainly you want those subjects to tie together, and we talk about weaving technology through all of those things. But, now you have to really defer. I'm not a calculus teacher. I certainly don't, know that subject like our, calculus teachers do. I don't know government like Mrs. Francis does. I don't know econ like Mr. Forbes does. They know that material, and I certainly want to honor that. At the same time, I know those folks, and I know that they're going to be, they're constantly open to improving their craft, and so I think that that's a piece that I want to be a part of.